Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on Forgotten Weapons. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today in Tallinn, Estonia, by gracious invitation of the Estonian Defense Forces, specifically the Support Command Supply Battalion. We're taking a look today at the brand new Estonian issue rifles. This is the R20 Rahe, which is Estonian for hail. There was actually a brief period where they were naming various ordnance equipment after types of weather. So, hail, like hailstones. Anyway, this is an LMT short stroke gas piston AR pattern rifle. The story of this begins in 2017. The Estonian military had previously been equipped primarily with Galil rifles that had been purchased from IMI in Israel. They were looking to replace those. They were coming to the end of their life cycle, and frankly, they weren't the most efficient rifles. They had been the first thing that Estonia purchased in bulk as a newly independent nation in the early 1990s, and they needed replacement. So the requirement, what the Estonian Defense Forces were looking for, were a combination of both an infantry rifle and a designated marksman's rifle. The infantry gun in 5.56, the designated marksman's gun in 7.62 NATO. They wanted both guns to be of the same platform. So in this case, LMT provided an AR-15 pattern as well as an AR-10 pattern DMR, which we'll cover in a separate video. This procurement really began in 2017. There were something like 11 initial tenders that were offered from basically all of the movers and shakers in the small arms business. This was filtered down to 3 finalists that met all of the technical requirements and were considered for final consideration. Those being H&K with the 416, SIG with the 716, and LMT with this rifle. So some testing was done in 2018, and then ultimately the decision came down to a combination of price, field testing, reliability, accuracy, all the various testing elements, the warranty, the support that was included with the rifle, and the accessories or the kit that were included, and LMT was deemed the winner. So in 2019, contract is signed. Estonia purchases about roughly 20,000 of the standard service rifles and about 1,000 of the DMRs. Now they would purchase 2 different patterns of service rifle. The standard one, which I have here, has a 14.3-inch barrel. They also purchased a carbine variation, which has a 12-inch barrel. Now, these are a very substantial minority. The vast majority of the guns are the 14.3s. The short guns are for kind of the usual suspects of special forces, the presidential ceremonial guard, those sorts of guys. Standard infantry rifle is this. However, I should say, what we have done here is set up one of the R20s with all of the accessories that are available for them. And you would never actually see a rifle with all of this crap on it. The standard configuration for the infantry is the rifle with a Holosun 515 red dot. Then additional equipment available for issue at the unit level, depending on mission and unit preference, include a 3-power Holosun magnifier, a Holosun infrared laser and illuminator unit, an M203 grenade launcher, also made by LMT, and a suppressor made by GSL. And the suppressors, by the way, are multi-caliber. Well, they're 7.62 suppressors that will fit interchangeably onto the 7.62 DMRs, as well as both the long and short-barreled 5.56 rifles. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. Let me show you some of the details of what LMT provided for this Estonian rifle bid. The R20 is fundamentally a short-stroke gas piston AR platform rifle. Receiver markings here, we have LMT, LMT Defense. These are all made in the United States and then shipped to Estonia. Cal 556, there's our model designation, LA-R20 Rahe, and a serial number. Serial number starts with the EE for the Estonian Defense Forces. Since we're right here, just a quick look, we also have the grenade launcher, very similar, also made by LMT. It's a 40mm M203 pattern grenade launcher, pretty basic thing. The rifles are supplied with Magpul PMags. Apparently there was an initial proposal to supply Lancer mags, and the Estonians had the presence of mind to say, yeah, no, we'll take the Magpuls. So that's what the guns come with. One of the kind of cool novel elements to the R20 is hidden inside the pistol grip here. There is a computerized round counter in the grip. And the idea with this was if you maintain a computerized record of how many shots have been fired, you can design a proactive parts management system, proactive maintenance system to replace wear items like springs, extractors, ejectors, etc. Implementation of this system has not been great. At this point, apparently, it is primarily being used by unit armorers just to basically keep an understanding of how many rounds are being put through different guns in the unit. The efforts to have a standardized, like military-wide system of automatic parts replacement has fallen victim to some bureaucracy issues and some technical issues. But the idea of having a round counter built into the gun to record this data, frankly, to me, is a pretty cool idea that is far better than the old standard of having, you know, a paper log that guys have to theoretically fill out every time they put rounds through the rifle. The upper receiver has an Est Mil marking, Estonian military, with the serial number as well. And on the other side, an LMT defense mark, the relevant LMT patents for their handguard. These have changeable barrels. You could say quick change, but they're really not quick change. It requires a torque wrench, torques, and a torque wrench to remove the barrel. So it's really an armorer level thing. If there's a problem with the barrel, you can swap it out without having to go through head spacing issues the way you would on a traditional M16. The controls are completely ambidextrous. Normal magazine release here on the right, along with a bolt hold open and release, ambidextrous selector lever. The guns are full auto capable, so it's not burst, it's safe, semi, and plain unrestricted full auto. And then on the left side, you of course have the regular selector, the regular bolt hold open and release, and a left-hand magazine release. The primary optic in service is the Holosun model 515. All of the Estonian stuff is marked with Estonian markings to reflect its government ownership. This is a specific Estonian pattern, just in a very subtle way, in that it only offers the dot and circle reticle. So often on the Holosuns, you can swap between dot, and circle. This one is fixed. The magnifier is just a standard commercial Holosun 3-power magnifier with a flip-over mount. The laser module, available primarily for special forces sorts of troops, has an illuminator on one side and a laser on the other, with a whole smorgasbord of control settings back here. It's worth pointing out the Estonian Special Forces actually opted to use HK416s, so all of the regular infantry use the R20. Special Forces always kind of go their own way, and they have the option to take anything they want. They went with 416s. Ooh, all right, continuing on. There are an awful lot of things on this rifle to go over. We have backup iron sights made by LMT. Every rifle is equipped with them. There's the rear one. So every soldier has backup iron sights. The contract included a Blue Force Gear Vickers Tactical Sling for every rifle. It's a really good service sling, quick adjustable. Like, this is one of those elements of, this is good kit on these rifles. The suppressor is a quick attach type, locks onto the special muzzle device of the guns. You just push in against the spring, rotate it 90 degrees, and remove it from the muzzle. These are made by GSL in the United States. Nothing particularly fancy about the suppressors. It's just a good, practical, durable suppressor. This is LMT's muzzle device, works as a flash hider. Without the suppressor, you have these two lugs to attach the suppressor to. The gas block on the R20 is not adjustable. There is a button down here that you can push in. You can rotate the gas plug, and you can actually, well, this is how you remove the gas plug and gas piston. There was a decision that had to be made on the administrative level of, like, we want to have an adjustable gas system for use of suppressors. You want to be able to restrict gas flow when you're using a suppressor, but you also want to limit a conscript's ability to mess up their own gun. So do we give every rifle an adjustable gas plug, or what they ended up actually doing is issuing out 2 additional gas plugs with each suppressor. So the suppressor fits on either 5.56 or 7.62 rifles, and it comes with a 7.62 and a 5.56 gas plug with 2 positions. So if you are one of the specialty units like reconnaissance troops who are issued a suppressor, you put in the suppressor gas plug and then you can adjust the rifle for optimal operation. Otherwise, if you're the regular infantry conscript or regular infantry soldier, if you're not using a suppressor, you don't have the ability to mess up the gas system. Continuing with the gas block, we actually have a bayonet lug fixed to it. This is something that wasn't originally included in the tender. It was added kind of at the last moment. So LMT modified their gas blocks to include a bayonet lug. Now, of course, this one you can't put a bayonet on because you've got the grenade launcher on there, but the grenade launcher is not a universal piece of equipment, obviously. So take this off and you have a regular bayonet attachment there. Although one interesting humorous thing, these rifles have relatively heavy profile barrels and a relatively large diameter muzzle device out here to attach the suppressor to, and you've got these 2 lugs out on the muzzle device. Those are your attachment lugs for the suppressor. If they are in a roughly 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock orientation, these can actually interfere with the bayonet. There's not quite enough space in there with the standard bayonets for it to fit. So these actually, the fix is you actually take off the flash hider and shim it just slightly. So the locking lugs are more of a 3 and 9 o'clock position in order to fit the bayonet. That said, this is all kind of a moot point because while bayonets are here, like they have bayonets for these rifles, but they're really not commonly used. Like people don't really use bayonets anymore at all. So as I said, the standard infantry rifle has a 14.3-inch barrel. There was a short pattern that was also procured in small quantities with a 12-inch barrel. I don't have the complete 12-inch rifle here, just the upper to it, but there's literally no difference except it doesn't have a bayonet lug and the barrel is 2.3 inches shorter. So it's really not that much shorter. It's really not very substantially lighter. These are in high demand with guys. If anyone, anyone who had the option would take the short barrel gun, but it's frankly mostly because it looks cooler on Instagram. The 14.3 is the standard rifle. All right, we'll take a quick look at the bolt carrier. Because this has the 203 grenade launcher on it, we actually have to remove the lower completely in order to do that. So there we go. There's our lower. Totally normal AR type lower. We've got a nice coat of operating grease on this, but basically a totally standard bolt carrier. There is no gas tube on it, of course, because this is a gas piston operated gun, so you just have the operating lug there that the gas piston, right here, is going to impinge upon, like so. Other than that, not really anything we need to dig into inside the rifle. The first R20s arrived in Estonia in July of 2020. They were presented to the public, bit of a ceremony at that point, and then deliveries would take about a little under 3 years to complete the contract. So the final delivery arrived in late 2023. Estonia now has their full complement of purchased rifles, accessories, etc. There has been some friction with the rollout, some issues back and forth, quality control, customer service, the sort of thing that honestly you get with basically any new production, any large-scale new production. But in service, the rifles are doing really quite well. What I like about this is it's a cool display of a country that is focusing on really the very Western European fundamental military strategy of maximizing the effectiveness of the individual soldier. So this is a rifle that has everything you would need to fully exploit its capabilities. It's set up for a suppressor. Everyone has a red dot. Magnifiers are available. Infrared designators are available for the troops that make use of them. Grenade launchers are available. It's an accurate rifle. It's a reliable rifle. And I think it really shows the importance that Estonia puts on maximizing its soldiers' potential and firepower. It's a small country. It has a very unpleasant neighbor very close by and doesn't have the logistical capability to run a Russian-style defense program of just tons of people to absorb an attack. They have to make the most efficient use of the limited resources they have, and I think this is a perfect example of how one can do that. So big thanks to the Estonian Defense Forces for giving me the opportunity to take a look at one of their cool new rifles. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.